So motherhood from the very beginning has not been a simple task, and I mean it never is, and they do tell you like, oh, it's gonna be really hard, but you really don't know until you're thrown into it and you can't get out of it. In this video I'm going to be discussing my personal take on what I wish I knew before becoming a mum. Now obviously I have a very unique situation, you know, where I have disabilities, so does my child. I had a very high risk pregnancy. Pretty much right as soon as I was pregnant, I was high risk because of my own birth history. I do have a video on that linked up in the card and down below if you're interested in that story. I've also got a pregnancy video if you're interested in that, so that you're caught up. So in today's video I'm going to be sharing my top 5 tips on what I wish I knew before I was a mum, and at times what they really don't tell you until you're thrown into it. My tip number 1, and this is something that again I really wish that I'd done well before, and I thought that I was doing, but I really wasn't until I became a mum. I was like, oh, there's a lot more there to unpack. It's doing therapy and healing trauma and stuff like that well before you have kids. Now in my case, I had already been doing therapy for a number of years before becoming a mum. I became a mum when I was 26 years old, and I'd been doing like counselling, and I'd also been getting into psychology, and I've done a couple of the schema programs and stuff since the age of like 21, 22. So I'd been doing therapy for a few years at that point, and even in therapy we had also dug in with my therapist about why I wanted to become a mum and what that looked like for me, and I truly thought that I was like, yep, I'm ready, I'm healed, and well and behold, I had my child the way that I had her. We had a 4-month NICU stay, video up here and link down below on that experience. The whole motherhood experience with her has been so challenging, along with my own disabilities. It doesn't help too that I have a lot of medical trauma from my past, so I really should have like clocked on. And you know what, it wasn't until this year, beginning of this year, 2025, I started the journey of EMDR. I had known about EMDR for a few years, but I was just so scared to like bite the bullet and go ahead with it. I mean, I'm what, like 7-ish months in, I think, of doing like proper EMDR, and it's completely changed the game. Like, I'm not fully, like, we haven't even started on any sort of medical processing yet of like those traumas, which is like 30 years long. Just in what I have done, it's truly helped. It's helped me believe in myself, where I can handle a lot more of like my daughter's behaviours and stuff like that. Not that they're naughty, they are obviously very like age appropriate, and I'm being completely transparent when I say this, I did not handle a lot of that very well at all. That was definitely my turning point, where I was like, I'm being really destructive and really unhealthy. It was also getting to a point where talk therapy just wasn't doing it much for me now, and don't get me wrong, I still do talk therapy on and off. It just wasn't getting to the root cause. It wasn't actually healing stuff. It was just me talking through it and me getting re-triggered at some points. I was like, no, I need to change. I need to do this for myself. I need to do this for my child. So that is something that I really wish that I had done way earlier. I'd done EMDR way earlier. For me, it was, it was important before, and it's even more important now that my child's here. She's 3.5, she turns 4 in March, and like I said, I'm still learning, I'm still healing, and I just hope that, as I continue on my EMDR journey, that it gets better and I heal more and I'm able to cope with parenting, because I just have not been. The last, really since becoming a parent, I have not been coping. Really struggled with the transition, with the sense of identity that you lose when you do become a parent. That is my number 1 advice, is please go to therapy, do EMDR if you can afford it, well before you have a child. Number 2, lower expectations, any kind, starting in pregnancy. You get pregnant, you think, oh, my pregnancy's gonna be great, yeah, I might get sickness here and there, everything's gonna be good, I'm gonna have a natural birth. No. That was my first thought when I first fell pregnant, was like, oh, it's gonna be smooth, easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. And it was anything but, honestly. Like, from 12 weeks onwards was just a huge, medical, complex, stressful time. Even leading up to the birth of my daughter, I really thought, oh, I still might be able to have her naturally, because, of the complications that we were experiencing in the pregnancy with her and with my body and how I was handling the pregnancy. A very small part of me, I think, was like, I can do it, maybe. And yeah, I definitely think I expected a lot more than what I actually got, and that is something that literally you need to be aware of right in early stages of your pregnancy. You expect to not be sick, you get sick. I mean, I did not experience that. I didn't experience any sort of morning sickness at all. I did experience extreme fatigue though. That was something I didn't expect. But starting right from pregnancy, leading up into parenthood, keep your expectations like below the bottom, because parenting is something that you can't control. Pregnancy is something you can't control. Same with parenting. You cannot control everything, and that is something that I sometimes still do struggle with. I still sometimes put a little bit too much expectation, especially on myself, I think, as a parent, and I think I do definitely doubt myself and I criticize myself a lot. That is something I'm working on in therapy, don't worry, in EMDR. But it's that high expectation that I expect of myself, and it's like, well, no, there are times where like I physically can't parent because of my disability, or and I really kick myself about that. It's like, no, I need to not put so much expectation on myself. Definitely lower your expectation, because you cannot control anything that happens during pregnancy, childbirth, or parenthood in general. Number 3 is comparison. Now, again, this is something that I've struggled with, especially myself having disabilities and my child. I used to compare, and still sometimes do, to be honest. I do compare my child quite often with, where she is developmentally compared to other children, and that is just so, like, not okay to do, simply because it's just factually not accurate, because, she has disability, she has global developmental delay. She is just naturally going to be a little bit late on some things, and that's okay. I was late too. It's also comparing to other parents, how they parent versus how I parent. The comparison thing with parenting is just so silly, really, and it's not just myself that I see it in. It's like online and different Facebook mum groups and TikToks and stuff like that I see of like other parents judging and just not really, just being really ruthless. Honestly, it's just uncalled for. That actually leads into my number 4 things I wish I knew before becoming a mum, is judgment, and judgment of other people around you, your friends and family, other parents. Just everywhere you look, it seems like there is judgment. It's in the way that you put your baby to sleep. It's what you feed them. It seems to be every little thing that you do you get judged for. Whether it's friends and family, they're like, for example, a great example that we've had on and off like since the beginning of becoming a parent is car seats. My daughter, maybe 3.5, nearly 4, but she is a very small 3.5, nearly 4-year-old, so she is still rear-facing. And here in Australia, our car seat laws are so behind, and they are just awful. And I personally follow the manufacturer's guide for my car seat. We specifically got a premium extended rear-facing seat so that we were able to rear-face her a lot longer, and we have been able to do that. Like, we've made it to 3.5 so far. She's got 6 more months to go and she's not even at the first marker yet, which is crazy. But specifically from like our families, we have been judged pretty like harshly on that, being like, you really should have turned her, she's so big now, blah 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 blah. But yeah, I just specifically just prefer to follow the car manufacturer. She's not even at the first marker yet. If you don't know, in a extended rear facing seat, there's typically 3 markers. So the first one is you have to be rear facing under the dotted line of the first marker. Once they reach that and they're over that, then you can turn them forward facing, but because she's not even at the first marker, like she's probably halfway towards the first marker, so it is just something that I'm really conscious of. And the people around us think, they're like, oh, she's big enough now, she's at age, it's a big milestone thing. It's like, it's not a milestone to me, it's pure safety, and I'm gonna follow that whether you guys like it or not. But it's so annoying. Safety versus milestone, I'm gonna go safety. But yeah, there's other judgments too. There's obviously the big debate of breastfeeding or bottle fed. There's the type of bottles, there's how you breastfeed, there's when, there's pumping, there's how often you need to pump for, or, there's just so many different tips, and, if you don't do it this way, then you're not doing it right, or this kind of a, like, really judgmental look at, like, my way or the highway type of thing. There's just other little things, like in your pregnancy or childbirth, and in parenthood. Every single little thing gets judged for, whether it's positive or negative. My thing is, for the most part, not my kid, not my problem. And I do say that to other people too. Like, yes, you may think that I might not be doing this in the way that you would have done it, but guess what? She's not your child. So therefore your opinion doesn't matter to me, doesn't matter to how I'm parenting, and just keep it to yourself. Like, truly. It's hard enough being a first-time parent as it is. Some people think that it helps, and I get where they're coming from with that, but a lot of the time it makes us as the first time parents feel like we're doing so horribly at being a parent. it really just dampens our like confidence in ourselves as we parent. Unless they're like fully abusing their children, then step in. But otherwise, just let us as parents figure it out for ourselves. Also, lastly, if we want advice, we will ask. My final tip for this video, and it's probably the one that's the most complex, I think, because I'm still going through it, it's how challenging parenting can actually be. You do get told like, oh yeah, it's gonna be really hard, you're gonna have like sick days and like the sleepless nights and stuff, but truly you don't know until you're in it. You truly do not know until you're thrusted into it and you're like, oh shit. I kind of went through a phase recently where I was like, I'm really stuck on parenting and I really miss who I used to be and I miss my old life. All that type of, comments that was kind of going through my mind of like, I'm really struggling with parenting. Why am I struggling? Why is this so hard? And at least for us, like, we have a special needs child literally since pregnancy, so the challenges that you face typically as a mum, like, it's hard, but you add special needs on top of that, it makes it times 1,000, and then you add my own disabilities on top of that. It just a lot of the time it feels impossible. And just a caveat, I do not put any form of blame on my child. Like, I don't blame her for having the special needs that she does. It's just the circumstances that we were given, the cards that we were dealt, the challenges of like parenting a special needs child with disabilities of your own that you can't control, you can't change. Just a caveat too, my disabilities, I'm legally blind, so I can't drive, and I also have Meniere's disease, so I just get vertigo attacks, and when my vertigo attacks happen, I am just bedridden. I can't even look after myself, let alone my child, and that's just a safety thing. That's not safe. Obviously, like, that's where I'm coming from with that, but obviously let me know if you have your own sort of challenges and stuff like that, even with a neurotypical child. So I think that's going to leave it for me here. Let me know down below any sort of tips that you have. Do you agree with what I said? Do you want to add to any of that? Let me know down below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!